Hey, welcome back to my channel. In this series, we're going to be looking at artists who may not be that well known, or maybe artists that have inspired me or that I've come across on social media that I've connected with. And today we're going to be interviewing Kyun Ngui, who is a London based photographer. He started out shooting digital and has migrated over to film. And his work has been really inspiring to me. I think we met each other a little bit before COVID, and we just connected online, started chatting back and forth, and I think we swapped zines. And when he released his newest zine, I had to buy that one, and we're going to take a look at that in the interview. But hopefully, we'll just get a chance to know him a little bit better and see his work, and maybe hear why and how he does what he does. He's a very talented photographer, and I hope you really enjoy this interview.
So I'm Kyun Ngui. I live in London, and I've done for quite a few years now, nearly 30 years. But I'm originally from Malaysia, and yeah, I'm a photographer, among other things, in London, and I've done mostly street photography, but I'm exploring all kinds of areas, kind of within street or maybe even slightly out of street.
Okay. So what else do you do? Like, do you do photography full time, or do you have another occupation that you work at?
No, I have another occupation. I'm a private investor.
Oh, interesting.
I used to work. Yeah, I used to be in corporate until
Okay.
until until COVID, and it really actually I've been thinking for a few years um, to kind of get out of corporate, if you like. And I have been doing some things to try and position myself. But COVID really was the real push.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, so I'm not a full-time photographer, but I'm committed to photography as a craft and
Oh
trying to
yeah.
spend as much time as I can on it. I'm sure you're the same too.
Oh
And
yeah. No, I do web development for my full-time job. And so yeah, photography is a passion, creative outlet for me. I wish it was full-time, but no, it's not.
on our way, right? We're on our way.
On our way, yeah, yeah. So what got you into photography? Was this something you started as a kid or later on in life?
Yeah, I think I started maybe in my 20s. Um, and I just thought it's really just the power of pictures. I thought I might find it interesting. I mean, the first kind of photographer that I came across that really had an impact on me was Robert Capa.
Mm,
And even when I didn't know anything, it wasn't even shooting. I bought his definitive collection. There was just something about those pictures that were, really interesting, that really drew me. And then I then started to learn photography myself, but I was just dabbling really at that point. So,
yeah.
you could call that the part one of my photography. So nothing really happened for many years. I mean, then the next turning point was probably around 2014, I think. I think then we've got the iPhone and all the smartphones and everything. And I started using the iPhone to shoot, and it gave me a lot of options. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just going out shooting photos. I
Right.
wasn't doing street photography or anything, just having fun, meeting up with other people and trying to find my way. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I was curious. The iPhone, when that came out, I think that was the spark that a lot of people needed to get into photography and then eventually graduate to an actual camera. But yeah, that
Yes,
that was a game changer for so many people.
I know. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's been remarkable. I mean, just think about it. So many things have changed since the smartphone, the iPhone. Actually, the iPhone was the first one, wasn't it? The smartphone, since the iPhone came out.
Yeah.
And now, wow, you can't live without it. And everything is on. You do
Right.
everything on your smartphone. You know.
Yep. Can't go go anywhere or do much without it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So besides Robert Capa, are there any other inspirations that you are inspired by to influence your work or get you out and shooting more?
Yeah. So my other some of the other influences I have a lot, but the I'll just pick out a few. The real strong ones is one of them is Robert Frank and the Americans,
Mm-hmm.
and that really has a strong impact on me. Not just the photos themselves, but really how he tried to convey his vision. It was subjective in a way. He wanted to express his opinion. And in there also is the storytelling aspect and the sequencing, because I think I read up on it, and I know that he said that it was the sequencing was how do you say it's a distinct and intense order, and that as I studied the book, that is a huge influence on me, and when I do my sequencing, not that I'm copying him, but it's always in my head
Yeah, yeah.
about that. Yeah. Who else? Then the other one that's influenced me a lot is Daido Moriyama.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes.
I
I love
mean,
his stuff. Oh my goodness.
yeah, that then we are together on this. I mean, for breaking all the rules, for just having his distinctive style. And I think what really does it for him is that his approach. It seems to me that you can really feel and sense what he was feeling when he took those photos. Of course, we can't, but that's as if you're there with him,
Right.
because otherwise some of these things, because obviously something has struck him for him to take the photo. So yeah, so I think that kind of that approach has really influenced me and just helped me to say, hey, let's just go out there and do what you want to do.
Yeah. No, I'll echo that sentiment because when I look at his work, it's like I want to know, like I want to be right beside him when he was taking that shot, right? Like there's
Yeah,
something about his
exactly.
photography that draws you in, and it's an
Yeah,
extension of who he is. It's not just
yeah,
I'm looking through a viewfinder and I'm snapping a frame, of something interesting. Like it's like
yeah,
I'm seeing something completely like in my own
yeah.
kind of mental world here, and
That's
I'm
it. Yeah,
capturing that moment on a frame so that I can share it with somebody. Oh, it's a really cool way of seeing a photographer's work. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So then you mentioned Soul Lighter earlier. So Soul Lighter is definitely was well, it is an influence on on the color
Mhm.
work, but more for maybe what I call like the painterly touch that he brings to it, and so the way he's seeing things in a completely different way, of course, in
Yeah.
color, but also I think because he was a painter, and so he probably saw those things, and that obviously came out.
Yeah.
So I would say those three have influenced me in very strong ways. There are a lot of others which we can't go through all of them, but there are a lot of
Sure.
others.
So I want to ask this because I always find this fascinating. But do you see yourself more introverted or extroverted as a person?
Or introvert, 100%
Yeah.
introvert,
So I find
absolutely.
that as a very common trait of street photographers. Like for some reason,
Right.
there tends to be more introverted on the introverted side. But
Yeah.
and once you push past that barrier and get the confidence to go take people on the streets, like that camera becomes almost like a mask. Like I'm becoming somebody different.
Right.
I'm not quite as shy, or yeah. But
Oh,
it does
absolutely.
yeah.
Are you? Well, are you introvert or extrovert?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm very much an
Introvert.
introvert.
Oh wow.
quiet. As a kid, I was like one of the shyest like kids you could ever imagine. Like ever getting in
Yeah.
front of a camera or public speaking, any of that stuff would terrify me. So here I'm at 48 years old this year, and I'm finally. I feel like I've got the confidence to do some stuff that I've always wanted to do. But no,
Yeah.
very much yeah, introverted. I if I'm around people for too long, I definitely need some alone time and need to decompress. So
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. Same here. Same here.
yeah,
Yeah. Funny,
but
isn't it? How we all
yeah,
go out to the most crowded places, full of people.
yeah,
I don't feel it though when I'm taking photographs, right?
yeah, exactly.
I don't like. I'll go to Oxford Circus, which is like personally without a camera, I would never go there. It's so crowded. I don't like the crowd.
Yeah.
But when you give me a camera, it's things are just different.
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm not shooting behind a camera, I'd rather be like on a river all by myself, fly
Yeah.
fishing in the middle of nowhere. But give
Right.
me a
Exactly.
camera and I want to be surrounded by people. Yeah. That's interesting. So why film? Like you started digital and then jumped to film. What caused that migration?
It was just a feeling. I can't put a finger on it, but I just felt that yeah, I was doing okay, and I felt that I was doing okay with the digital and with the color and with the street and what I was doing. It felt hard though. It felt hard, but and I was wondering if this is where whether this is what I want to do, whether it's telling me I'm producing the kind of work that is really me, or am I just did I just jump on the bandwagon that was on Instagram in the street photographers and everybody is shooting the kind of things that was going on then. And so I just thought I'll follow my instincts because I felt that okay, I think I want to shoot film, black and white film, not color, but black and white film. Um, and so I did. I bought the cheapest film camera I could find. It was a Nikon, I think Nikon F. Oh, I can't remember, FA probably. I think it's a Nikon FA.
Okay.
So started shooting that. I was still shooting in very much the same way as my eye was still tuned to like the street photography kind of picture, the pictures I was doing before. It took a while before I kind of developed to the style you probably see in the Imago zine. Um, yeah, and then somewhere along the way I got a Leica M3, and that actually changed a lot of things for me. Um, Everything is manual.
Yeah.
Focusing. There's no light meter. So in a way, and you can't. There's no screen to look at, right? And
Right.
somehow the art of is an act of actually having to put your eye to the viewfinder. I mean, I'm not hiding myself or anything, but you just somehow and having to focus is that you build. For me, I feel that you build a little bit of connection, or you're more focused in what you're trying to do for that split second or for that few seconds that you're doing. And for me, the Leica is I really enjoy using it. There's just something about it, It's really nice to use. It's quiet. Um, yeah, so that I really enjoy that. I really enjoy the camera. And
Yeah.
then I started kind of experimenting. I seem to, and then I just kind of got, further and further away to. I didn't know where I was going, but I just kind of try. Or maybe it's a certain look, it's a certain kind of the blurriness came, and then I just just took photo more what what caught my eye than trying to find what's the composition here that would look good on Instagram. So I got away
Mhm.
from that, and yeah.
Cool. No, I like your color work. I went back and was looking at some of it, and
Oh, thanks.
uh, you seem drawn to the reds and the yellows, and a lot of I
Yeah.
guess some of your earlier work, and reminded me of Saul Leiter and some of Ernest Haas's kind of work that they had
Right. Right.
those two primary colors in there. But yeah, I loved it. But I'm a big fan of black and white, so
Yeah.
I absolutely love your black and white stuff. Yeah, there's when I look at it, I always think there's a purity to it. Like every time I look at
Thank
your
you.
work, that's the word that keeps coming to my mind is pure. And so I'll show some examples of your work as we're talking here. But as you're
Okay.
going through, just even your website on the black and white portfolio you have there, every image on there, I'm like, it just screams purity. Like every image is like, man,
Hey, thanks for that feedback. That I really appreciate that.
yeah, yeah. So I'm glad you moved to film. It looks good. Looks
What do
really
you
good.
shoot, Jeff? Are you shooting film, or you
So
shooting some film, but you still use digital,
yeah, I
right?
still shoot some film. I started off digital on like a really cheap Nikon. I think it's a D50 500, like a
Right.
very entry
Yeah.
level
Yeah.
DSLR. And then I got really into film, and I think I had 20 film cameras at one time.
Oh, really?
I
Wow.
would just I'd buy them at estate sales and thrift stores.
Yeah.
They'd be
Yeah.
like 15, $20, and I just
Yeah.
if I so I'll just buy it and maybe just for the lens if the body doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
uh, but it's so time consuming, and being a
Yeah.
full-time developer, that's a 45, 50 hour work week. I've got 3 kids, a wife, we're
Wow.
heavily involved in our church, all this stuff. And I was like,
Yeah.
I just don't have time to mess
I
with film
know.
anymore. So I sold,
I know. I know.
yeah, I sold all my cameras except for a Rolly 35. I love that little
Mhm.
camera. And then I
Yeah.
have a Canon A1 that I still
Okay. Yeah.
kept.
Nice. Yeah.
And then the other day I bought what is it? I have it here somewhere. It's this, see if I can hold that there.
Oh, Olympus. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So
Nice.
Olympus Acura Zoom 80. I found this for $5 at a thrift store, and it had a
You
roll.
can't lose it.
Right, yeah, it had a roll of Kodak Gold in there, and I know it's like way expired, but I was like, I have to buy that just to shoot that roll of film. So I'm about halfway through that roll, and I'm going to go out hopefully Friday and shoot the rest of it. But no, I still love film. It's just the time. Yeah, it takes so much
I
time.
understand. Yeah. I
Yeah. So right
understand.
now, my main camera is a Fuji X-T2,
Okay.
and I use that for 90% of what I'm shooting. Yeah.
Okay, great. I have an X Pro too.
Okay.
Still, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that one. I mean, still works great. I can't see any reason to
Exactly.
upgrade yet. When the
Yeah.
XT5 comes out, I may rethink that, but
When the
so
XT5 comes out, I'll get the XT3, right? Then,
right.
then I'm upgraded. That's what I would do. X Pro
Yeah, yeah.
5 comes out, get the X Pro 3.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we don't need the whatever it is. I don't need the video capabilities
Sure.
anyway. Some
Yeah.
people do, and that's important, but I don't. I mean, I hardly even use the digital, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's time. I think it's like you say, it's time, Jeff. I mean, yeah, it's finding the time to shoot among all the other priorities. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of priorities, I do have your book here. It's coming home.
Thank you.
And
Good
let's
man.
look.
Fantastic. Thank you for
Yeah,
buying
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, no. As soon as you had it up, I was like, I gotta get a copy. So let's talk about this project, because I love this project. There's a couple of photos in here. I was like, man, I wish I'd taken those pictures. They're that good. But tell us what inspired this project, and yeah, go
Okay.
through it.
Well, actually, it was just the fact that the Euro 2020, or more specifically, the semi-finals and the final of the Euro 2020 was held in Wembley, right, in London, England. And I thought, and Wembley is actually quite near to where I live. So I thought, and England was doing quite well in the tournament. And I thought, well, maybe this is going to be a historic occasion. And I just decided that I would take myself down there during this, just before the semifinals and the final. That was really the whole thinking and motivation and that's about as much planning as went into it. So um yeah, I didn't even have a thought of making a book out of it. I mean, I don't normally shoot this kind of reportage type photography, and
Sure.
to be honest, I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, whether I would even find anything to shoot, and whether I could use the same gear that I always use for street photography. We'll talk about that in a minute, and to whether I would get any pictures. So it's just, taking a leap of faith, really, go down there. And I was really hoping on the bus and on the public transport there. I was thinking the last time I went to a football or soccer match is I can't remember, it was a long time ago. And I wasn't sure whether I was gonna even, was there gonna be some crowd trouble, or anything of the kind, or what would I find? So
Right.
it was just with a bit of apprehension that I that I went there. But I went on the first day, which was the first semifinal was, I think, Italy and Spain. And it was really, I mean, I found out that, football and the crowds who watch football, the demographics had changed since the last time I went. And these are now, really just almost middle class people who are in families, and it's a completely different in the back 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You're probably talking about the more working class,
Sure.
more hardcore supporters. But now it's just like, hey man, it's just an entertainment thing.
Yeah.
If you can get a ticket, just go down there. So you get all kinds of people, the real hardcore supporters, and the people who got a ticket thought, okay, it's probably fun to go down there. So I shot a few. I can't remember how much I shot, but I thought, okay, I found a few things to shoot. There were people, getting excited and everything. Um, I thought, okay, that's fine. I'll come back to the next one. And so I came back to the next one, which was the England semi-final with Denmark.
Hmm.
And then, well, of course, having local fans, the atmosphere was just, it was a next level up from the previous one, because
Yeah.
it was people were cheering, some of these pictures that you see, they were up on lampposts and stuff like that, and then so it was really a lot more atmosphere there. And so I did the same thing, just shot whatever I can. And I actually thought of shooting color, because
Hmm.
I normally have my black and white film in the film cameras. Then I thought, well, maybe color would be good. So I brought my digital along one day, or that day probably, and but it was really hard actually to if you were looking for color as a subject.
Right.
I was just shooting anything, and I thought, well, okay, I'll just go back to using the black and white, and then I can just get on with shooting what I can.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, and then I yeah.
this was shot over 2 days.
Oh, and the final as well. So over 3
Okay.
days
Three days.
before the match actually took place at Wembley. So I would go there, shoot until the match was about to start, and then I leg it and take the public transport home to actually watch the match at home. So yeah.
Nice. So how many rolls of film did you go through for this one?
Ooh, I don't know, maybe so if I shot 2.5 rolls each time, probably 2 or 3 rolls each time, maybe
Okay.
9 rolls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then actually I had no other thought than just developing them. Well, actually, of course, I developed the first batch very quickly, because I wanted to see how it turned out. Anything I could learn from it, and exposure, was it okay, and all the rest of it. And yeah, so I had no thought actually of making a book, because I wasn't sure what kind of photo. I mean, whether it was any good photos were in there.
Hmm.
And then I developed them all, and I thought, okay, maybe this will be good for a 10 image blog, if nothing else. So I started, editing and choosing the photos and then sequencing them. And I found that I actually had quite a lot that worked. I mean, however many ended up in the book, like
Right.
30 or something, 20 something like that. So I thought, okay, that's quite interesting. It just kind of snowballed. It just organically it grew from just trying to do one thing, and then you found out, I have a lot of photos, and I said, well, can I sequence them in a way that's interesting and that will flow. Some story might emerge, and I managed to do that. I think, uh, yeah. And then I thought, well, I've got enough here to make a zine. I think I've got about 20 photos, at least I'll make a zine. So maybe I'll make a zine that'll save me from having to make the zine I was going to make anyway, like the next issue of Imago. So I say, well, let me work on this. And I did. I put a sequence together. And what really helped me was I'm a member of a photography group that meets once a month. They're eclectic. I mean, it's not street photography, but
Sure.
from many areas. And they're quite some of them. So one of them is like a few of them actually working photographers. One of them is a photojournalist. I think he'd won the World Press Photo before or judged it or something like that. So they're quite different kind of people in there, quite experienced photographers. So I actually shared a dummy, a digital dummy.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's a project that I'm kind of, well, here's something that I've just thrown together from the Euros, and it had a good reception. I mean, they liked it, and that gave me the kind of motivation to kind of push on with the book zine or zine, however we want to define it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Cool. Well, I remember when you started promoting it, like immediately I was like, I'm ordering that. And then when I got it in the mail, I'm flipping through it, and you never used this image to promote it, at least in the beginning. And when I pulled this image up, I was like, oh my goodness, this one right here.
Yeah.
That is such a killer image. Yeah. So what was
did you like about it? Describe it. This is my favorite, as you know. Yeah.
So there is just like, I mean, the position of the guy, one, and the eye contact is great. I don't know if this was candid or if he was posing for you, but I mean, just the eye contact, and you've got the guys in the back, that guy in the background, the same. He's like looking at you with this kind of almost glare, but more of just kind of interest. And then just the depth of field and the way that blur happens in the background, like it's obviously film. Like I can tell, like this was shot on film. But the tones in it are beautiful too. So I just thought, man, that image is just killer.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's my favorite from the start. It was the one that stood out. Even as I was presenting it to my group, I said, this is the one that's my favorite, and nobody said anything. I said, okay, that's okay, but it doesn't matter. But but that is my favorite. And it was, Jeff, and what happens in these things, is it candid, is it posed? Obviously I didn't know him. I didn't even ask him. I was just taking pictures of these guys doing whatever they were doing. Some of them would turn around and like pose, like what he's doing there, spread out his arms and all that. So I didn't ask him to do anything, but because of when you're in there with the people and you're obviously having some kind of connection with the people, things like that happen. Yeah. And I love that though. That's what makes it for me. I mean, I enjoy that part of it,
Yeah. So, do you have any other favorites from the book? Like maybe story wise, like
actually I don't know. I have to look at the book, to be honest. I don't have it. Maybe we don't have time. I have to remind myself. Actually, I probably have the one I can think of is the one that's near the end, where the boy and the bull is near right. It's probably the second last picture. I quite like that.
Oh yeah, this one here, and I'll show it better on the screen there. But that one there.
Yes, that's it. That's Wembley Stadium at the back there.
Okay.
This was just as it's just I like that. I know I can't explain it, but just the
Yeah,
mood or
yeah,
something. Just it's the simplicity of it. I think
yep,
just a boy with a ball, and then at the back there's a Euro 2020 final going on. Who knows this guy in 10 years' time, right? He could
yeah.
he could he could be in there. In
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah, another one I like is this one here, the girl with the flag.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, there's just
yeah.
something
I
about
like
that
that.
one.
As someone else has said, they like that was one of their favorites as well, Jeff. So.
Yeah.
And I just kind of actually it was shot from the hip, as you can probably see from the because it just happened too fast. I was just walking with I normally hold my camera down, in front of me by waist level because I don't have a strap or anything. I
Mm,
just kind of hold it in my hand, and I just like walked into this this scene, and this girl was coming, and this woman was coming from the. I thought so. I just click it, and I didn't.
yeah.
I just clicked it, and thank goodness it did. Something came out of it.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I love that that was captured on film from the hip. One of my biggest frustration is watching these YouTube POVs, and these guys
Yeah,
have like these huge cameras, and they'll have it on like continuous high, and they're
yeah,
just like, just holding it down, spraying a shot, and
yeah,
they'll take 20 frames, and oh, look at
yeah.
this banger I got.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm like
And now
yelling at the
I guess you
TV,
can. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
right?
can get the shot. You definitely can get the shot that way, but it doesn't do anything for me though. That's the thing. I
Exactly.
mean, I don't. You know what I mean? If you don't have any, you must just not just walk around town, just pointing, doing that, and is that what gets you? Yeah,
Right.
nothing wrong with it, but
Yeah,
just doesn't do it for me.
me either.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
cool.
Good.
Well, do you have any other projects in the works or anything coming up?
Yeah, there's that. I'm trying to make a book, so that's kind of slow. I've been doing that for a while. That's kind of like simmering in the background. Um, so that'll keep going. Hopefully, I will get to like a final selection
Mm,
soon.
okay. And then
Yeah.
you have some work featured here soon too, right?
Oh yes, that's right. I'm a member of this group called the London Independent Photography Group. So I think it's a England-wide group, although it's based in London. So they have a magazine. It's called Flip Magazine,
Okay.
um, uh, and and this Euro 2020 zine is reviewed in the for the next issue, which is coming out
Awesome.
in April. Yeah, thanks.
No,
Yeah,
congrats. That's awesome.
yeah, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Well deserved too.
Thanks very much.
Um, what about your cameras? What kind of cameras are you using? What kind of film do you like to shoot on?
So I have a Leica M3, and I also have an M2.
Okay.
Um, I got the M2. I got the M3 first because I heard that, oh, this is great, and all that. But the problem for me is that, for us who wears glasses, spectacles, is that you can't get, there's this separation to the viewfinder,
Yep.
and the M3 is I can't see the whole thing. So then I looked for something else, and got a M2 body.
Okay.
Um, And rather ironically, I got a lens, a 35 millimeter Leica lens that, the goggle lens that it's supposed to adapt for the M3. The M3 didn't have 35 millimeter, I think, frame lines or something like that in the beginning. And they have this goggle lens, with you see what it is. And let me show you.
Okay.
Is that one? Oh, where am I seeing? It's can you see it? I can't see it because I blurred it. So it's this thing that over the top. So that's like
Yep.
the
Yeah.
goggle version. Yeah. So yeah, no, I got that for the M3, but actually I found out I liked it better on the M2. So I still have no solution for the M3, but I found something nice for the M2. That's how it goes. Oh, and film, I like the Kodak T-Max P3200.
Mhm.
I really like that. That was my go-to film, especially in the darker days or nights. And then recently, I kind of rediscovered HP5, Ilford HP5 Plus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was my
and then
go-to.
I
Yeah.
find that I like it better when I push it, right? To push it a couple of stops, and then I get that contrast.
Hmm.
And though actually those two films were what I used in the Zine in the
Yeah.
Euro 2020. Yeah.
And are you developing your own black and white, or you send that off?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Just the negatives. Yeah. They're
Yeah.
developing the negatives. I can't. I don't have a dark room to print. Probably just as well because that would take another too much time.
Sure.
Printing. I mean, that's another whole area,
Yep.
right? A whole discipline that you can
Yeah.
spend all life and all your time in. So.
No, it's expensive to shoot film now too, because I mean, I shot a
Right.
roll of Cinestill Double X. I guess it was that was about 4 months ago, on my Rolly 35. And by the time I spent, because I got rid of all my developer stuff too. So when I got rid of all my cameras, I should have kept those. But no, I spent $12 on a roll of film on the
Yeah.
Cinestill Double X, and then I spent another, I think it was 12 to 15 for developing, and then another six
Oh
dollars
yeah.
to scan it, and then shipping and handling because I sent it off to a lab. I was like, I can't afford to shoot film. This is getting crazy.
Yeah, so that's why if you shoot a lot, you got to develop yourself, right? So it lowers
Yeah,
the
you have
cost,
to.
and you get better control. Actually, that's for me is one of the bigger factors than I mean the cost is important. I mean, make no mistake,
Sure.
if digital is much, much, much cheaper. Well, in a way it is. Once you pay for the hardware.
Right.
Everything else is there's no extra cost. It's a different. The film is different. But yeah, no, I actually like it. I like the control. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a like a control freak or anything. I'm not overly particular with the call. I mean, I am, but I'm not like overly like people try different developers and say, well, this has a bit more contrast, so I'll use that for this, and I'm not like that. So I've
Right.
got a few developers I like, and just go with it for the film that I like. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I tried cathinol processing for a while on the
Right.
HP5, and use coffee and vitamin C to do the
Wow.
development work. And it ends up being this super contrasty, really grainy
Really
development process. So when it comes out, I loved it. I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can just flush that down the sink or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's not toxic. But again, it's time. But it takes time to do all that. But you still,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't duplicate film with
No.
digital. Like no matter how hard you try, you just cannot get that look.
No, and I don't want to
Yeah.
spend the time doing it either. Just
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think some people do, but I just, oh man, maybe I just like this film. It's a bit off and it's a bit organic and it's not precise. I guess I'm just like that. Maybe I'm afraid of precision or something, but maybe not. But I just like that part of it.
Yeah. I love the uncertainty. Well, it's part of street
Yeah,
photography, right? You never know
yeah,
what you're going to run into.
exactly.
And I love
Yeah,
that aspect of film too, is like nothing's ever going to be perfect. Like there's always going to be, some little softness here, or, maybe a little
yeah,
lens flare, like light leak got in
yeah,
there. And
yeah,
it's just that unexpected. And I kind of like the anticipation of waiting, like,
yeah,
the
yeah,
digital so instant. You're like, oh, you can look immediately and see what you got. But yeah,
yeah,
film,
exactly.
there's that element of surprise. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
Where can people find you and your work?
So they can find me on my website is the www.kyun.photography, and I'm on Instagram. It's at Kyun dot pic, KYUN dot pic.
Cool.
I think those are the only two places. Yeah.
Okay. We'll make sure to put those links down in the description of the video too, so people can find you.
Cool.
Cool. Well, man, thank you so much for this. This was awesome. I loved it, getting to see you face to face. Like, I've followed your work for the last couple of years, and we've exchanged some messages on Instagram, but getting to meet you face to face is great.
No, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for asking me, here and to do this. It's fantastic. I should really say, I forgot to say that this was an inspiration for my zine.
Ah,
So in the format, I thought, I had this when I put it together. I said, hey, this is the format, this is the size, this is it. So that's I really appreciate that. I really like that work. So
cool.
well put together.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I used to do like punk rock zines when I was a kid, like putting little zines together and things. I was really into underground music, and so I put little zines together, highlighting bands and stuff. So,
cool.
and I use that format a lot. And so when I was doing a zine, and that was something I just threw together. Like, I think it was like 3 weeks of shooting. I was just like, I just need to get something together and print it out. Looking back, I'm like, oh, there's so many pictures I'd take out of there. But no, that's what inspired that layout, was those old punk rock zines that I used to do.
Oh, wow, there you go. So
yeah,
it's amazing how one thing can inspire other things.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for that, man.
No worries. Hey, great to see you, Jeff, and thanks for this. And hopefully we'll hook up again sometime.
Yeah, we will, for sure. And if I'm ever in London, I'm gonna hunt you down so we can go shoot together.
Yeah, please do. Have you been here? Have you lived here or something like that before?
No, I visited once. We had a layover on the way to, I think it was either Paris or Germany. I can't remember which one. And so, no, it was Romania. When I was traveling to Romania, I think I had a 4-hour layover. And so me and the guy I was with, we like booked it out of the airport and went and got some fish and chips, and like booked it back to the airport. But no, that's the extent of my London experience. I want to go back and really actually dive into the city sometime.
Hey, look me up. Give me a shout if you're here. We go shooting or hang out, or just go somewhere quiet and chill out for us introverts and all that. But yeah, awesome.
Awesome, man. All right. Well, thanks again.
No worries. Thanks very much, Jeff.